Number 9, Shayna Geider versus Linda Hubbell.
Everybody involved in this matter, please come forward. Counsel, bear with me just a second. Let me get caught up on my papers. All right, counsel, you represent the petitioner in this matter?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Tell me what this is about, please.
Your Honor, if I may give just a brief opening to fill you in. We have a case going on in Juvenile Court right now, and we're here, Your Honor, because unfortunately Ms. Hubbell is quite frankly refusing to follow any of the orders of the lower court. This first started last year. The father filed a petition to modify the parenting plan and to enjoin Ms. Hubbell from homeschooling the child in juvenile court. At that time, there was a hearing on father's motion to enjoin from homeschooling, at which time his motion was granted. At that hearing, due to numerous Facebook posts that Ms. Hubbell had been putting on social media about Mr. Gadair and statements she had been making to the child about Mr. Gadair, the magistrate specifically ordered she was not to do either of those things. We then went to trial on Ms. Hubbell's petition to be the sole decision maker and to be allowed to homeschool the child. At that trial, both of what she was asking for was denied. However, because of continued postings after the magistrate's initial order, he ordered again, specifically, she was not to post on Facebook or make comments to the minor child about Mr. Gadair. She then appealed that trial outcome from the magistrate to the judge in juvenile court. We are in the middle of a 6-day now trial in juvenile court. The current date is in August for our next day of hearing. When we were in front of the judge, we made her aware that even after the magistrate's initial order and then his second order, she has continued to post things about Mr. Gadair on Facebook and make comments to the child. So she's continuing to violate those orders. Ever since this case has started, her harassment of Mr. Gadair has escalated to the most recent incident, which I will have him testify about, when she was outside of his home, pounding on the windows, refusing to leave, and I will provide some testimony from him about that. But basically, we're here, Your Honor, because she's just not listening to the lower court's orders, and we're asking Your Honor to step in for an order of protection. The harassment has just continued and continued. So I would like to call Sanan Gadair.
Let me ask you to surrender the podium to Ms. Hubbell. Ms. Hubbell, I treat you like an attorney because you're representing yourself. Do you want to make any type of opening statement to the court? It's not required that you do so, but you're welcome to if you'd like.
Your Honor, I'm trying to trust the system to help me fight abuse that this man's inflicted on me for years. He's Turkish, and he told me that he's a Turkish man, and I better not forget it, and that in his country there's consequences, and he thinks he can control.
Excuse me, just saying, you and he are not married to one another.
No, but because I don't know if it's cultural.
Do you have children?
Yes, we have a 6-year-old.
Try not to interrupt me. I'm trying to get some information, please. How many children do y'all have?
One daughter, 6.5.
6.5-year-old child. All right, go on.
We've had, he dumped me when I was pregnant, and then after the child was born, I encouraged him to be part of her life because I didn't want her to grow up without a father.
All right, but now, we're kind of way beyond
I'm sorry,
that, 'cause-
okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Because this child is over 6 years of age now. The most recent circumstance is you allegedly continue to post, make postings on Facebook or on the internet, social media about him, and you've been coming to his house harassing or stalking him.
I have.
That's what we're here for today.
I don't know what comments they're talking about on Facebook I've made about him that are harassing to him.
Do you make any comments about him on Facebook?
That's how I connect with my friends and family, and I get feedback.
Is there a court order telling you not to do that?
I believe there is.
All right, well, let me explain to you. A court order means what it says. You're not to do it, or you'll be held in contempt, and you'll be put in jail by the judge that's issued it. Now, that order is not in front of me, but if I issue such an order, one of two things will happen. He'll either swear out a criminal warrant against you that carries up to 11 months and 29 days, or if he thinks that may take too long, he'll issue a criminal contempt against you, which will come back in front of me, and if I find you've done something in violation of my order, I absolutely will put you in jail.
I
Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you the primary residential parent of this child?
Yes.
Child lives
At
with
this
you
point.
primarily?
At this point, but he's trying to get. He's asked for him to be primary residential
All right, and
parent.
you need to put your thinking cap on. If you get arrested and put in jail, convicted of one of these things, what do you think your chances are of being designated the primary residential parent? Let me help you.
I know, but I don't feel like I have anything to lose because I've already lost the majority of my parenting time over this past year because of things he's done, not
Well,
things
if you continue
I've
to
done.
think you don't have anything to lose, all that'll mean is you'll lose everything. But I'll let you have a seat over here. Counsel, call your first witness.
Your Honor, I would like to call Sarah.
Sir, come up if you will. All right, you may ask, counsel.
Can you please state your name for the court?
Sinan Gider.
And did you hear the summary of the history of the case in juvenile court as I provided for the court?
Yes, I
Is
did.
that an accurate summary of how things have gone?
Yes,
Okay. So you had filed a petition, is that correct?
yes,
To enjoin Ms. Hubbell from homeschooling?
yes.
What has been her reaction to you since that petition has been filed?
And how long ago was that, counsel?
That would have been June of last year, I believe, when it was initially filed, Your Honor.
Okay. Wait, do you know when the order came down, though? Do you know when the order granted your request that she not homeschool?
Yes,
About when was that?
I believe it was right before the school started.
Last year? Of last year?
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. All right, you may proceed.
And then the matter went to trial on Ms. Hubbell's petition in December of 2014, is that correct?
I believe so. I'm not very good with dates, but we've
Okay.
had been to courts many times.
All right.
Can you describe, while this litigation has been pending, if Ms. Hubbell's demeanor towards you has changed?
She has been more hostile, constantly complaining about me interfering with her parenting time. She accuses me of using the court system to abuse her, and being yelled a lot. I have some recordings. If you want to hear, Your Honor, I can let you listen to last recording of it.
Well, let me say that was there any restraining order put in place in juvenile court?
There was not, she was admonished that she was only supposed to contact him related to the child by the judge, but it wasn't specifically put in an order. It's been kind of over the...
Is there an order that specifically says she's not to discuss him on social media?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have a copy of that order?
Honestly, Your Honor, I think that binder's in my car. We've
I
got
have
6
one,
binders
Your
of
Honor.
emails.
Is it signed by the judge?
I have printed two. She called me abuser on her Facebook posts.
All right, wait a minute. Do you have a copy of the order?
Or court order?
Well, we're not going to delay. Does he have samples of her communication with him?
He does, Your Honor.
All
We
right.
have,
Are they on your cell phone?
Some are on my cell phone, Your Honor. I printed some text messages from the past if you want to see.
All right, I turn it over to you, counsel.
has Ms. Hubbell sent you a good number of emails since this proceeding has been going on?
Yes, she did.
Has she in fact sent you 4 binders worth of emails related to this litigation?
Yes, I believe she did.
Has she sent you numerous text messages while this has been going on?
Yes, she did.
On average, how many text messages would you say that she sends you per day?
Depending on the day, it might be like 3, 4 sometimes, and maybe sometimes more.
And on a day where she's sending a lot of text messages, how many text messages would you say she sends?
I can't remember, but that incident that started, made me ask for the protection, she called me 19 times that evening, 19 times.
All right, do you have any evidence of that?
Yes, Your Honor. I have my phone and I printed. And here is my phone. This is on the May 31st, if Your Honor wants to see my phone.
All right, well, counsel, you're going to need to do this. I don't know what any of this means, so you better ask him some questions about this, or we're wasting our time.
And I don't have a copy of that, Your Honor. Can I see what that is?
All right, well, I guess we better move on to something else. Do you have a recorded version of one of these telephone calls?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, how long ago was the telephone call
This is-
fixing to play?
This is the night that I called the police and
I don't know when that night was.
May 31st, Your Honor.
May 31st of this year.
Yes.
All right, what time did the call come in?
I was supposed to pick up the child
I
at
don't know what time you're supposed to pick up.
around
There's
6,
a clock, a watch.
6:15,
Do you keep up with time at all?
6:15 p.m. around.
Pardon me?
6:15 p.m.
Approximately 6:15
6:20 p.m.
All
Yes.
right. And what was the substance of the call? I'm going to let you tell me about it, and then I want to hear it, okay?
We have a temporary arrangement. I'm in court order. Child stays with me Sunday evening through Friday afternoon, and she spends the weekends with her mother. And Miss Hubbell is not happy with that arrangement, and she was complaining about it.
Now, you're saying you get the child when Sunday?
Sunday from 6 p.m. until Friday 3 p.m.
So you get the child almost the whole week?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that all the time, or just every other week?
All the time we have a temporary
So
order.
you got basically temporary possession of the child?
Yes, she has the visitation. This is the court order, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So, what is she saying in her phone call?
I signed up the child for a summer camp, and she was yelling at me while the child was in the car with her. And this protection will serve for the child as well, Your Honor, because she constantly yells, screams at me, whether the child is there or not. I'm sure child is being
All
impacted.
right, you want to play your tape?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go to the beginning of it. I don't want you to start something in the middle.
Your Honor, this is the beginning because once I realized she was being like that, I
If
just
it's the
started.
beginning, then get back to the beginning, and we'll try to listen to it.
Okay. That's all, Your Honor. I
All right.
realized she was yelling at me. I just pick up my recorder.
Well, it's just 1 week and
how much time do you plan to allow me to spend with my daughter?
you know, you have to ask the judge. I asked
You know what I mean? I'm asking you. I am trying to communicate with you.
well,
Answer my question. How much time do you plan to give me to exercise my parental right to you my daughter if she is a school?
well,
How much time do you intend to give me?
If I'm here. Okay, and what is the subject of what she's talking about in this phone call?
I signed up child for the summer school at Ainsworth. It was a tennis and swimming in the afternoon.
Now, the parenting arrangement that you just described to the judge, where you have the child from Sunday through Friday,
Yes,
that was ordered by the judge in juvenile court. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And was it also ordered by the judge in juvenile court that you would be allowed to sign the child up for summer camp?
I was told I can put child in a school or because child is with me and mother has visitation.
And when we were there for the last day of trial, a couple weeks ago, did you specifically ask the judge whether you would be allowed to send the child to summer camp?
I don't remember, but I spoke with you on that, and you told me that I mean, we have the court order here, Your Honor.
Okay,
Yes.
and the judge, to your knowledge, the trial is still pending, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So that was just a clarifying question that you had asked the judge about whether you were allowed to do that, is that correct?
I don't recall, but Judge, I specifically said she's not going to change the visitation because she hasn't heard anything about Ms. Hubbell's home. I don't want to go into that, but that was the conditions in the house, Your Honor.
All right, let's talk
Okay.
about this exchange of the child. The warrant says 6/31/15. I'm assuming that means 5/31/15. Did y'all exchange the child on 5/31/15?
It should be 6:30, huh?
It should be what?
6:30, around 6:30
The
p.m.
date.
All right,
What was
listen
the
to
date?
me. It says 6/31/15, June the 31st, 2015. Now, we haven't even gotten to that part of the month.
Yes.
Did y'all exchange the child on May the 31st?
Yes, Your Honor.
What day of the week would that have been?
Sunday.
A Sunday?
Yes, Your Honor.
And on that Sunday, were you going to exchange the child as usual?
Yes.
And did Ms. Hubbell start asking you questions?
Miss
All right, May 31st is a Sunday. All right, go on.
What happened, it was raining. Usually Miss Hubbell gets out of her car and starts yelling at me. But it was raining. This time she calls me from her car. This is on West End, the European parking lot. I'm sitting in my car. She's sitting on the other side.
understand.
And
Tell
she
me what
called me,
happened.
and this call is recorded. And the next day is the first of the month. I have the check in my pocket. I'm planning to give her a check because I'm not gonna see her next day. And she gets out after this call is over. She starts yelling at me. Because I know this is the kind of conversation is
All right,
not.
let's go on. I understand y'all.
Okay,
Move on.
I'm recording it. She started yelling at me again. And she asked me if I recorded the phone call. I said, yeah. And I said, I'm recording this too. Then she stops. She becomes polite.
All right, counsel, you need to move this along. I need to hear
Yes,
what
Your Honor.
took
Okay.
place.
Okay, what was the topic of conversation she was
About complaining about the child going to summer school.
Okay.
Summer camp.
Was she asking you for child support at that
No,
point?
she didn't ask me child support.
Okay.
The-
And at that point in time, did you leave the situation?
Yes, I left.
Did she communicate to you that she was going to follow you to your house?
She calls me and she says she wants her child support. I tell her the child support is
All
good.
right, I don't care what you told her, but did she was demanding the child support. Your lawyer asked you, did she say she was coming to your home?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Did you then go home at that point?
No, I told her, don't come to my house, I'll call the police if she comes.
Where did you go instead?
I spent 2 hours around West Nashville.
And after you'd been gone for about 2 hours, did you then go home?
Yes, around 8:30 p.m. I drove close to my house. I saw Miss Hubbell's car sitting in front of my house. Then I pulled back and parked at the side street, and I called Metro Police for an escort.
And did you ask them to escort you into the home?
Yes, I did.
Did they immediately come to do that?
No, they didn't come.
How long did you wait there for them to
I
come?
waited with the child in my car for over an hour.
At that point in time, did you decide to go into the home?
Yes, Metro dispatcher calls me back because I kept calling them. I have a child in
All right, let's get to where
Okay.
something
Okay.
happened.
Did you decide to go into the home?
Yes, they said they cannot send somebody
All
at
right,
that time.
sir,
I'm sorry.
pay attention. This is your lawyer. She's very good.
Okay, sir.
You need to listen to her and answer her questions
Okay.
because she knows where she's going with this. Stop trying to be your own lawyer and let her do the work. Go on, counsel.
You went into the home.
Yes.
What happened then?
Then I was afraid she would come after me, so I went in, closed the garage door quickly.
Did she see that you had gone into the home?
I believe she did.
Did she start trying to ring your doorbell?
What is the question?
Did she start trying to ring your doorbell?
Yes, she rang my doorbell.
And was she pounding on your door?
She started pounding on my door.
At some point in time, did she go behind the back of your house?
Yes, she started knocking my back door, then went through my bedroom windows, knocking on every window.
So she was knocking on all the windows in the back of your home.
Yes.
Was the child with you at the time?
Yes, child was afraid too.
Did the child start crying?
At one time when she started yelling and screaming, then the child started crying.
So she was yelling and screaming at you, and the child started crying. Is that correct?
She was yelling from outside my door, Dilara, Dilara, are you okay?
Okay. Did she have any reason to believe Dilara was not okay?
No, she just
Was Dilara crying before she heard her mom screaming? And
no,
getting
she
on the
was
door?
like kind of shocked. She asked me, "What is somebody there?" Then we went upstairs.
Okay. All right. Now, does she have any history of this kind of stalking or harassing behavior?
Yes, she did this in the past, and she forced herself into my house twice.
Have there been times when she has blocked you into parking spots in public places?
Yes, she did.
Has she sent you any text messages admitting that she is a bit obsessive?
Yes.
If I show you this text message, can I see it? Can I see it?
You can see it.
Yes.
Hold on just a second. Mr. Howard, you in the courtroom. Let me make certain that Mr. Salt in the courtroom. All right, because she's not here, I'm going to dismiss this order of protection. We're going to get you an order in just a second. This gentleman up here needs to talk to you for just a second. So, Mr. Robinson, if you want to talk to Mr. Howard, Barrett, stay with us because I'm going to give you an order dismissing this case so you can take it with you, okay? Put on the pay to prosecute. All right, I'm sorry.
Did you get a chance to review that text message?
Yes, I did.
And who is that text message from?
Miss Hubbell,
And what date is that from?
September 16,
Of what year?
2011.
Okay. And what did she say in that text message?
All right, why are we looking at a 2011 text message?
Just to show that this has been a history of harassment and that it's only escalated from the time that this has been filed, Your Honor.
I beg your pardon?
If there's such a long history, she should have something. This is a totally different part in our lives.
Well, I'll allow it, but let's move through. We've got a courtroom
Yes,
full
sir.
of people.
What does that text message say?
It says I'm a...
I don't need to read it. Thank you. Okay.
What does that text message say?
Should I read it?
No, it's not necessary. I've already read it.
Okay. All right. Is that indicative of how Ms. Hubbell's behavior has been to you for a period of time?
Yes, and that is how she has been continuing. Even though we are not together, we are not a couple, but she still acts like we are a couple, and I feel controlled by it.
Recently, has she said anything to you that has made you think there's a possibility she might try to harm you?
Yes.
Do you see that piece of paper in front of you?
Yes, I have an email here.
Can you identify what that is?
Yes, an email from Ms. Hubbell dated February 4th, 2015.
Okay. And can you please read the highlighted portion of that email?
For the past few days since you have been holding Dilara hostage, I have been kind of fantasizing about sitting on your chest and punching you in the face over and over and over again, like Ralph did, but in my imagination. I only punch you with my right fist. I will not lay a hand on you. This is much better than wanting you dead like I did 2.5 years ago. If I have any true violent urges, I will go on medication before I act on them. I will never allow myself to hurt you physically, and I will never hurt you emotionally like you are hurting me.
All right, anything else, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, just one more email. Has Ms. Hubbell continued to send you emails or texts or correspondences that indicate she's interested in a romantic relationship of some sort?
Yes, she did many of those.
Do you have an email in front of you?
There is this email?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And who is that email from?
It's from Ms. Hubbell.
And in that email, does
What's the date on it, please?
March 6, 2015.
All right.
and in that email, does Ms. Hubbell list a variety of lyrics from different love songs?
Yes, I believe she sends me songs. Yes, there is a highlighted section here.
And I believe it's the first paragraph of that email. Does Ms. Hubbell reference the fact that this could be evidence of harassment?
I can read the highlighted part. You can forward this to Sarah if you want, but Constitution of State of Tennessee says free communication of thought and opinion is one of the invaluable rights of man. If you want to submit this email as
I don't need to hear all of this.
Okay. All right, Your Honor. Lastly, has Ms. Hubbell ever accused you of any kind of physical or mental abuse before this case began?
She talks about emotional abuse. She thinks I'm emotionally abusing her.
Has she accused you of being emotionally abusive prior to this lawsuit?
Yes, I believe she did.
Okay, and was that in relation to your daughter
Yes.
and the fact that you did not want to be in a relationship with her?
Yes.
Have you ever physically abused Ms. Hubbell in any way?
No.
Is it your desire that you and Ms. Hubbell stay as far apart as possible?
Yes, I would like her to stay away from me. Yes.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hubbell, I'm going to treat you like an attorney. I'll give you an opportunity to ask some questions. Please stay on point, though, and don't testify from the podium. I'll give you an opportunity to come to the witness stand and explain your side of this.
All right, thank you.
All right, you may ask.
Isn't it true that you filed this order for protection the day after I filed a motion to clarify the parenting schedule and another motion for contempt?
I was at the court. I didn't know you were filing anything, but you told me you will be filing something. But I was already at the court. I didn't know about it.
And in that, the phone recording you referred to, wasn't this about arguing over me having parenting time with Dilara in the summer?
Well, you were just yelling at me.
Didn't I ask you, out of 10 weeks of summer vacation, how much time during, since Dilara you stopped me from homeschooling, so during summer break, and I asked you how much out of the 10 weeks did you plan to give me? And, sorry.
All right. You need to ask kind of relatively simple, straightforward questions, okay? We can't have long, convoluted questions.
Okay. Isn't it true that you told me that you would only allow me to have 1 week and 3 days out of the 10 weeks of summer vacation to have her during the day while you were working?
It could be. If you came up with the plan, you tell me I want to do this with the child, I will let you.
Both of you. Ma'am, he doesn't set the summer parenting time, the court does.
Yes, and I have a copy of the DVD. There was not a written order other than during the school, I think,
Right,
Judge...
well, I'm not going to let you interpret the order, but if you're unhappy with your summer parenting time, you file a motion.
And that's what I did. It's going to be heard tomorrow. It's going to be heard tomorrow.
Then you'll have an opportunity to hear it tomorrow. We don't need to deal with it
Okay.
today.
Well, I was just saying that we just need clarification. The judge basically told us to work out the summer.
Right.
Okay, all right. Let me move on. Sorry. What threats have I made against your safety other than me referring to the bully in the Christmas Story video?
You used to send me text messaging saying that I must...
Since the beginning of this litigation, the last year.
Well, we just heard an email about you punching him in the face.
I'm asked, is this the only thing? Where somebody was saying...
I don't remember anything else.
Okay.
But let me explain to you, ma'am, the basis of an order of protection can be threats of physical violence, but it can also be harassing, it can be stalking, It can be damage to property, so it's not just saying I'm going to kill you or saying I'm going to beat you up, you understand?
I understand.
All right, go ahead, please.
Out of these binders, how much of that is not related to Dilara or parenting schedule or discovery for our trial? Is there anything in there that's not directly related to Dilara or parenting?
There are, yes, you asked for being in relationship, you wanna...
Can I see that?
No, we're not going there.
Okay, all right, let's just forget that then. You said that you had the child support check in your pocket the night of the 31st.
Yes.
And because I yelled at you, you decided to not give it to me.
I forgot, I was planning to give it to you.
And that's typically what you do. If it's the last time.
Excuse me, you can't testify, you can ask questions.
Okay, sorry.
Excuse me, when is the child support due?
It's due on the 1st.
Well, then, it wasn't necessary for him to give it to you that night, was it?
Well, customarily, he gives it to me
I
the
understand what
day, last
custom
day he
is,
sees me.
but in this instance, he could have waited till the next day, and there's
Yes, he
nothing
could
wrong with
have.
that, isn't that right?
He could have, except I was going to be going out of town, and I wouldn't have gotten it till the 5th.
All right, but then that would have been, as you're doing, you would have chosen...
Okay, let me just, Your Honor, I set myself up for this thing. I acknowledge that. I yelled at him, and, but I would like, I don't believe I threatened him. I'd like to give you a copy of the...
I'd like to hear your side of this.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you step down, sir. Ma'am, come around here, because I know there's...
Can I, Your Honor, I have just a few, I have just a few more questions, very specific,
All right,
important
then ask
questions.
those
Okay, I'm going to ask
questions.
only these. Okay.
And get along with it.
Okay. Didn't you testify during the custody trial that you're in good physical health?
Yes,
Is it true that you are nearly a foot taller than me?
yes,
Do you think you're stronger than me?
yes,
Isn't it true that you play soccer regularly?
yes,
Do you think you have quick reflexes?
Objection, relevance.
He says he is afraid, he said he is afraid of me. I want to show that he's not afraid of me, he's
Well,
lying.
let me say, the court will take judicial notice that he's bigger than you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank
I'll
you.
let you step down. Come around, ma'am. I'd like to hear your side of this, please. All right, Ms. Hubbell, let me tell you what I'm concerned about. I'm not here to decide this dispute between you and he over custody of this child, not even here to determine parenting time or child support. Those are things that are under the purview of the juvenile court. What I am here to determine is whether or not you're stalking or harassing this gentleman or threatening him. I'll tell you the things that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the number of correspondence, emails, text messages that he's testified to. He testified that in one day you sent him 20 text messages or phone calls. Have you made phone calls that often to him on occasion?
I did that night because I'd like to tell you the whole story that night.
All right, well, I want to hear that, but the answer to my question is yes, you have done that. I'm assuming,
Yes.
Were you trying to call him or text him?
I was making phone calls and,
Was he taking your calls?
well, my daughter answered one of them, and I started getting concerned about her because she was saying, it's Lydia, and he took the phone and hung up, and then she answered another time.
Were there efforts to communicate with him by telephone?
Yes.
And would he take the calls? Would he answer the phone?
I have an email I sent him after I yelled at him. I have an email apologizing to him. And I'd like to.
Wait a minute, you're missing my point. Was he refusing to take the
Yes.
calls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
apparently.
wouldn't that have sent a message to you that he didn't want to talk to you?
Well, it did, but I think he should have said that because when he calls me, especially when I've got the child, I don't just not. I will at least let her talk to him, even if I say I don't want to talk to you, I'm upset.
Okay.
And
Help me with this. On the night, was this the night you came to his house?
yes.
And how long did you sit out in front of his house?
Well, I live in Antioch and he lives in West Nashville,
Answer
and
my question. We'll move right through this. How long did
I'm
you
not.
sit out in front of
I'm
his
not
house?
exactly sure. I just
Was
waited.
it more than an hour?
Yeah, I went straight there. So it was probably 2 hours, 2.5
2 hours.
before I got there.
All right. And when he went into the home, did you come out and get out of the car and knock on the door or ring
Yes,
the
I
doorbell?
did.
And did you go around and tap on windows trying to get his attention?
Well, when I went to the front door, because I was concerned about Dilara and what was going on, because she tried to answer the phone, and then she started yelling, stop it, and I didn't know what was going on, and then when I got to his house, I didn't know if he was, because I'd sent him an email saying, I'm sorry, and let me apologize to you for yelling, because I'm working with
My question was, did you tap on the windows to the house?
Well, at first, I just went to the front door, and nobody answered, and I didn't know if they were just in the back of the house and didn't hear me, and I went to my car, and I checked. I said, well, if he wants me to leave, he'll tell me to leave. And I checked my phone to make sure he hadn't sent me a text message that says, please leave, I don't want to talk to you.
But now,
and he did.
Under what circumstance would you have thought, after the afternoon you'd had in exchanging the child and you waiting out in front of the house for some extended period of time, and him not taking your calls, under what circumstance did you think he wanted you to still be out in front of his house and knocking on the door?
Well, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I beg your pardon?
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
I didn't want to think he's such a jerk, because I sent him an email while I was sitting there, and I was
Other
apologizing.
than go to the back door, did you tap on any of the windows?
Well, I was going to...
That's a yes or no question.
I went to the back door, and then I knocked on his bedroom as I was walking back around the house.
Knocked on the bedroom window?
Yeah, it was on the way. I knocked on the back door in his bedroom on the way back, and then when I was coming in front of the garage, my daughter was in. I heard my daughter scream. I mean, she was just wailing.
Did you call for a wellness check?
Yes.
Ask Metro Police come to the house?
After I heard my daughter screaming, I did. I was very concerned.
All right, Counsel, you may ask.
Your Honor, I don't think... Lydia, have you admitted in the past to being slightly obsessive when it comes to Mr. Greider?
Obsessive, and I'm obsessive about a lot of things. When I focus on it, it's something that's important to me. So I'm not sure what you mean by
Have you
obsessive.
specifically said that you're obsessive when it comes to Mr. Greider?
I'm not sure if I'm sure I can be I'm very obsessive right now about the court case.
Are you under the care of a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
I've been seeing a therapist for 4 years trying to help me
You
deal
on
with.
any medication?
I take Adderall for ADHD.
Who is your therapist?
John Lewis. And he did send a letter.
Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
All right, I'll let you step in.
I can say one more thing, is the only contact I've had with him over the past year, it's related to my child, and I feel like he's using this to give him an advantage in the court case, but I really don't want to talk. I really don't want.
Let me explain.
Anyway.
Of course he's using it to get an advantage in the court case, because you're laying it out and making it so easy.
I know.
Come around and have a seat, if you will. The court is going to issue this order of protection, counsel. Ms. Hubbell, the court finds that you have stalked and harassed Mr. Gilder, so you've done the things that are set forth in the petition. Do you own a firearm?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to order that you not attempt to purchase or possess one. I'm going to order that you stay away from his home, his place of business. I'm going to order that you have no communication with him whatsoever, meaning text message, cell phones, emails, any means of communication. Don't send him a letter. Don't send him flowers. Don't tell him you're sorry. He doesn't want to hear any of those things. He wants you to leave him alone, and I'm ordering that. I'm going to order that you not mention his name on the social media anywhere, and you make no threats about him on the social media anywhere at any time. I am, unfortunately, having to put this child under the order of protection, which means that you're to have no contact with this child either. So that's an unfortunate thing, but I will order Mr. Gilder to immediately notify you of any medical emergency involving the child. He can do that either by telephone, text message, whatever is the fastest way. If this child has a medical emergency, he will advise you of the circumstance of the child's condition and where the child will be receiving treatment. You will be allowed to go to that location and communicate with the healthcare professionals only, not with Mr. Gilbert. What that means is no contact whatsoever. Now, I want you to understand what I was trying to tell you at the beginning of this hearing. If you violate this, and he swears out a violation warrant, then that is a misdemeanor. It carries up to 11 months and 29 days in jail. And they're treating violations of order of protection very seriously. If you're in jail, you can't have even a reasonable opportunity to have any contact with the child. Do you understand? I'm putting this order of protection in place for a year. As far as I'm concerned, this supersedes the juvenile court order, which means there's not going to be any parenting time until such time as this court changes the order. That'll be the judgment of the court.
Yeah, I apologize, Senator. May I also ask that she also not reference Dilara's dad on Facebook? That's what it's been recently. Not his name, but Dilara's dad.
Well, let me say, I'm not going to put that down. If juvenile court wants to do it, that's their order, and I would strongly advise this lady, if she wants to have any credibility in juvenile court, she try to obey the juvenile court order. But I'm sorry, Ms. Hubbell, but as I was saying earlier, you're the master of your own destruction here. You cannot talk on the phone that way to people, yell and scream at them. You can't force yourself to calm them by coming to their home, sitting out in front of it. You can't beat on their doors or beat on their windows. You're not allowed to do those things. If you do, you're absolutely going to go to jail. And I'm sorry you have this problem, but you really need to get some help for it. I'm going to request that you wait in the courtroom. Once Mr. Gilder and counsel get their copies of the order of protection, I'm going to ask you to stay in the courtroom at least 10 minutes to give them an opportunity to exit the building. Counsel, once y'all get your orders, y'all move on down the hall, if you will.
I would also ask, Your Honor, that perhaps the order be modifiable by a final order in juvenile court. We do have one final day of trial coming up, and I would ask that this be taken into consideration in juvenile court, but then if they believe supervised visitation or something like that is appropriate.
My order stands. Ms. Hubbell can always file a motion after the juvenile court order, and the court will be happy to consider it. But right now, somewhere, someplace, it needs to dawn on her that she can't behave this way. If you do, there are repercussions. So, if you'll be kind enough to have a seat in the back of the courtroom, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I take a part to the Tennessee Court of Appeals. It certainly is.